This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Savage Unfiltered. Your host, Michael Gardner.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to Savage Unfiltered. Welcome. I'm your host, Michael Gardner. Ladies and gentlemen, wow. If anybody has been paying attention to the last 24 hours or so, there has been a very strange but yet odd response coming not only from the Republican Party, but also from the Democratic Party too as well. The latest speech coming from Joe Biden from Philadelphia last night in his Soul of the Nation speech. And we're going to get into that whole demeanor, what the president was stating, because, he used some really, really strong words, now labeling the new Republican Party the MAGA Republicans. And a lot of people are questioning, a lot of listeners that tune into the show, a lot of following here on the show coming from social media and then other platforms as well. A lot of other shows, they're questioning, just what this MAGA Republican means under Joe Biden, because he's been using this term, folks, for like the last going on 2 weeks now, if you've been paying attention to, mainstream and social media. And it's really playing a big part in our society. And joining me here on the panel, guys, we want to bring in candidate for state Senate, 27th District of Wisconsin and Madison, Mr. Robert Relph. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, great. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor having you, sir, on the show. I know we've been trying to get you on the panel here for quite some time, so thank you for making your time on the show today. It means a lot. Sir, I want to get into just what the hell is going on with this president. We're seeing more of a radicalized administration just being played out. Do you have any thoughts of just what unfolded last night in Philadelphia?
Well, to me, I think it's a political move. I think it's a political move because they're worried about the midterms. The midterms coming up right now, the November 8th play out. And he knows that the midterms are going to be a huge turn on what happens in 2024. And so Joe's trying to pull everything out of his pocket to, again, that, they don't have the COVID to lean on as a crutch. They don't have the pandemic, the types of things like that. And, so they're pulling every trick that they can to paint us as the bad people. And which in fact, we're the ones that didn't cheat. We're the ones that didn't steal the election. We're not the ones that are doing the behind the scenes tactics to win. So I think it really has to do with it's a political move on the midterms.
I absolutely agree. You brought up some really key points. You brought up, COVID. You brought up, monkeypox. You brought up all these things that they literally been trying to push. And what I see it as, Robert, is I see it as tactics. They're running out of tactics. If everybody been paying attention since Joe Biden has taken office, 2 years ago, fast forward 2 years later, every tactic that they're using, Robert, with COVID, with lockdowns, with masking, with vaccinations, now to monkeypox, that's slowly going out of the scenario, right? We're really not hearing too much about monkeypox. They went from monkeypox to, just a few weeks ago with the, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, folks. You could have comments, side comments, all you want. That's okay. But in my personal opinion, Robert, the unlawful raid.
Hey guys, If you're looking for a steak, I know it's hard to find steak, right? You know, a lot of restaurants that just overcooked, undercooked, just not to your taste buds, right? You want that juicy steak. Look no further than Omaha Steak. I love them, guys. Love them. If I didn't love them, why wouldn't I be promoting them on the podcast today? Go over to Omaha Steaks, okay? They are phenomenal, guys. The juiciest steak you'll ever taste in your life, okay? A lot of people are like, well, how does it get delivered to your house? You know, with gnats and bugs going to get into it. And no. It's not, you don't have to worry about all that. It is in a sealed, perishable bag delivered to your house. So you don't have to worry about the gnats and the bugs get into it. It's fresh from the time they ship it from their distribution center to the time it arrives at your house. The juiciest steak you'll ever have in your life, guys. Check them out today. Omaha Steaks. Love them. They're phenomenal.
Savaged, unfiltered.
At Mar-a-Lago, just in Palm Beach, former President Donald Trump, which in historic times, folks, has never been done to a former president.
Right.
They're running out of tactics. I completely agree with you.
Right. And taking that step to where they raided the Mar-a-Lago in his residence, they just took that too far. You know, I mean, political, fight back and political back and forth, is one thing, but to raid the house of the former president of just a year ago that was in office and found absolutely nothing is absurd. It's absurd. And some people should be held accountable for it.
Yeah, they should be held accountable for it. But have you noticed every single thing that's coming out, right? When something comes up with accountability, right? You mentioned accountability, right? Mm-hmm. Interesting that I say that, because you look at Donald Trump, right? The most popular political figure in our lifetime today. Okay, we can't doubt that. Okay, he has a strong threshold right now on the Republican Party, and I think that's what Biden and the rest of the Democrats across this nation are scared of the power hold that this man still possesses, Robert. He's no longer president. He doesn't have political power anymore. Sure, he's a former president, and he still has a lot of influence and motives towards the Republican Party. But I've never seen in my lifetime, sir, where a political figurehead such as Donald Trump holds so much influence to the party that it is driving these Democrats like literally bonkers.
Right.
Right. Crazy.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I want to say one thing. There was an article that came out this morning on the New York Post where they're now portraying Biden, stating, and I'm just reading from the Post, folks. I don't read the New York Post. I think it's a lot of harsh-wash, but this article kind of struck me a little bit, and I was actually paying attention to some of the content and material that was coming out of this headline. Now, Biden is portraying democracy as under fire in the U.S., stating this, folks. Listen, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Stating that MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards. What's your insights on this, Robert?
Well, it's, first of all, I don't think that we have a president right now that's actually fit to be president, first of all. And that's my opinion. My opinion is that I don't think that he's mentally, physically fit to be president currently right now. And they're doing everything that they possibly can behind the scenes to help him put a kickstand behind him to keep him standing. And it's these scare tactics, it's these side moves that the system is using to make him look good, because technically he's got 2 years to go. Now, whether he lasts 2 more years that's to be seen. But
Yeah.
using these side tactics to ensure, and really what they're doing is they're setting up, because I don't think that Joe Biden is going to run again. I really don't. I don't think that Joe Biden is fit to run now. I don't think that he's fit to run for re-election. And so they're painting the Republicans as the racists, the bad guys. We're the ones that are out causing all the trouble, which in fact it's reversed. We're the ones that aren't. I take my seat, for instance. My seat has caught so much national attention because this Senate seat will turn Wisconsin red. Just my Senate seat alone, the importance of my Senate seat. And so it has caught national attention quite a bit. And so I myself as a coming forward new senator in the state, have even gotten to the point where I have to have full-time security around me 24/7.
Oh, sure. Just because of the party you represent. And, you mentioned seats, right? I have been paying attention to Wisconsin politics very, very closely. The reason why I say that, folks, is because, we know what happened in 2020, and it's still being brought up in the Republican Party. A lot of falsehoods with the 2020 election. A lot of people say that, there was a lot of stolen, just illegal voting integrity going on in the state of Wisconsin, and also other states such as Pennsylvania, Michigan, and others, even including Georgia. A lot of just misleading stuff going on in those states. So I completely understand. You hold a very strong seat. And, this is the time right now, folks, where we have to look at these key battleground states, such as Wisconsin and others, very, very closely. Before I get into that, sir, I want to state, with the speech last night, and I have to say this again, folks, because we're living in unprecedented times right now, very dark times. Okay, this is stuff that you would have seen play out in Venezuela, communist China, Germany, when Adolf Hitler, and I'm going to get into that because there's a lot of rhetoric that went down last night, sir, with Biden and Adolf Hitler. A lot of similarities that got played out. Just the speech, but the president also stated in his speech last night in Philadelphia about these MAGA Republicans. And when I hear the word MAGA Republicans, I get a little chuckle out of it. I'm like, okay, MAGA, it's a patriotic term, but they're using this patriotic term in the Republicans to paint them the real threat, not only to our way of life, but get this, Robert, they're saying that the MAGA Republicans are the real domestic terrorists that's literally destroying our democracy.
Yep. And that's because we're pushing back. We're standing our ground, on the campaign trail here in Wisconsin. We're not backing down. We're not playing into their hands, and we're not hiding under a rock anymore. We're standing our ground. We're going to take back the country. We're going to take back, for me, we're going to take back Wisconsin. And, there's been talk about whether or not, they want to see me in Washington at some point. And I've told them, and I've told everybody flat out, that Wisconsin comes first, and I'll do what's best for the state. But, it's a scare tactic. It's just, they have no ammunition. They know that's feasible. And so therefore they're just digging deep in their pockets. They don't have hard facts to run on. They don't have you know, so it's a scare tactic.
It is. It is. Yeah, I agree. But I mean, do you see this? Do you see Biden now? And folks, as you can see, I'm a little fired up because what went down last night is very disturbing. Again, I'm not showing fakeness on the show today. I'm showing, in all honesty, a real persona here because this is scary times we're living in. But I want to ask a question here to you, sir. I mean, do you see Joe Biden, using this type of leverage to try to not only undersee, but to try to bury, this Republican Party, this new Republican Party, because this Republican Party, Robert, as you know, and I'm sure you know, because the politics, in Wisconsin are no different, from where I reside, here in Florida. I reside in Florida, and I could tell you right now, yes, the politics are a little different here in Florida. We do have a very, very strong and powerful governor, as a lot of people see it, Ron DeSantis, literally keeping the state alive, But do you see that? Do you see that Joe Biden is trying to bury this new Republican Party at all?
Absolutely, 100%, because he's bought into this cancel culture.
Yeah,
where if they don't like you, they're going to do whatever they can to try to make you go away. And the fact that we're not going away, they're going back in their corner and they're huddling. What do we do next? And that's what's happening right now, because we're not backing down anymore. Look, like I said before, and I've said this many times, the minute that Donald Trump and his wife Melania came down the escalator in 2016, the Democratic Party was already working on, okay, how do we get this man out of office? And his full term, he took every day he woke up to beatings. There wasn't a day that man was able to just be a president in peace and run the country. He had to always fight off that hard left, the hard blue Democrats, and I call them, the radicals.
Hey guys, if you're trying to look for an organic product, right, you're getting tired of using the over-counter medication that's filled with chemicals, filled with all those nasty, cancerous ingredients, guys, head over to liverishi.com. That's right, guys, liverishi.com. What is Live Rishi? It's an organic CBD oil company that uses natural hemp oil in their products, guys. As you can see, I'm out and about right now. You develop a rash from walking in the park, grab that Live Rishi cream with you, rub it on there. I'm telling you what, guys, it's going to work like wonders. It's going to work like wonders. Use promo code SAVAGEDUNFILTERED for 20% off your entire order, guys. And I'm telling you what, that's a great deal. 20% off your entire order. LiveRishi.com. Grab it.
Savaged Unfiltered.
It's that cancel culture, and Joe Biden has bought into that, and I think he was forced into it. I think that there's a lot of people steering the ship behind him. So it's get rid of you and make you go home so we can continue to take the country over.
Well, a lot of people see this as a as a shadow government. I've heard the term, deep state, definitely being played out with this Biden administration. A lot of rumors saying that, Joe isn't steering the ship, right? He's not at the helm of the ship. Definitely seeing that. But some of the speeches, and this is, you're probably going to find this quite alarming, Robert, but some of the speeches I've noticed have a lot of similarities to once former President Barack Obama. I see a lot of demeanor as Joe Biden speaks coming out of the former office of Barack Obama. Do you see that at all, or?
Oh, absolutely. And I still think that Barack Obama still has a lot to do with this. I still think that he, Don't think that Joe isn't on the phone with, former President Obama on a regular basis. And, they want to widen the river. They want a bigger divide in the country. They want to segregate. They want to make, they want to take us steps back. And it's what's going on in the school system. They're even indoctrinating our young children to think that way, and blocking the parents, basically saying, drop your kid off, but you can't come in the building and you can't know what your kid is getting taught. I mean, they're starting them at a young age.
It's disgusting. It really is. I mean, you got, like you said, you have kids now being indoctrinated. You have even parents going to the level of grooming their children. Saying to their children as young as 5 years old, and this is some of this. I'm going to get a little unfiltered, guys. This is some of the shit that you've seen, get played out like in the last coming of weeks, right? I had on my show just the other day, Robert. I don't know if you tuned into that. I got into the woke culture of this country, where we're seeing as young as 5 years old, 6 years old, parents and educators in schools telling kids that it's okay to identify themselves as a girl when they're really a boy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's happening here. It's happening right here in my backyard. And right. I was in education for 19 years. I was. And that wasn't even a thought back then. So it's a way for the left to, this is the way that they're grooming the next generation to take after them. This is the way that they want to indoctrinate the kids and the children, so that when they graduate from high school, they're already woke left.
Yeah. I mean, and some of the stuff, I don't mean to cut in, but some of the stuff that you're mentioning, just in your home state of Wisconsin there, stuff coming out of Milwaukee, Madison, it's terrible. I mean, I seen something coming out of Milwaukee the other day, where I was looking on a video on YouTube, and I'm like, is this Milwaukee, Wisconsin? I mean, it's like it's internet is as if it was like a third world or a banana republic. You would never imagine some of the stuff, some of the events that are taking place all over our great country to be real. It's disgusting. Now, they're painting pictures, recent events that happened in Waukesha, right? We all remember what happened in Waukesha, right? Mm-hmm. Using that, Robert, as leverage. And that is sick. What's your thoughts on that, bud?
Absolutely. It's really, and the sad thing is the victims in this whole thing, when they're using Waukesha as an example, the victims are the families. And, that my heart goes out to them, that they're using this as a political move. When there are families that are mourning, there are families that are suffering, there are families that at the dinner table at Christmas are going to be missing one or two people because of it. Right now the left is using it as a political move. I mean, really? I mean, what's next? I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, what happened last night? What's going to happen today? Because something is, they're going to use something. And the fact that they're using tragedy in turn to victory for them is really, really unfortunate.
Yeah. And it's You know, what we're seeing, and I've said this on my show many times, and I'll say it again. We've seen this play out in other nations, other countries. I mentioned before, everything that you're seeing unfold, ladies and gentlemen, has happened. Starts off as social. Socialism is the breeding, folks, to communism. Country has had this happen to their nation, and every country, the empire behind it, folds and destroys itself within. You know, a lot of people
hasn't really set us up for a
foreign war. They have a point on that. Yes, thank God we're not in a conflict with another country right now. Thank God. But I can tell you the conflict we are in.
Cold War.
We are in a civil, modern scale. Now, other countries, like I mentioned, have done this tactic before. Look at Germany, Venezuela, and others. Hitler has done this to his own people. And I want to look at Hitler, for example, here, Robert. Between the speech last night that Joe Biden had said in Philadelphia, do you see that speech similar to Adolf Hitler when he had the same speech in the mid 1900s? Do you see any similarity coming out of that?
Absolutely. It's dictatorship. It's dictatorship.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. It's you're going to do what we say and or else. And you know, it kind of goes back to that cancel culture, but it's what it's doing is it's that, you know, it's scaring. It's threatening. It's, you know, we are the ones that are, you know, we're the threat to this country. And, you know, so yeah, there is definitely
Unfiltered.
Not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things. But I'm an American president. Not a president of red America, blue America.
Savaged. Unfiltered.
You know, perfectly then. I mean, it's kind of like how Biden said it, you know, and I use those words loosely, folks, where it's like this is what's getting played out here under Joe Biden, you know, similar to Adolf Hitler. If they're not going to, you know, pretty much join the crew, right? You know, join the ship, right? And they're not going to be on board with the movement, their narrative. If you don't agree with their narrative or movement, you are now labeled as a racist, a bigot, a domestic terrorist. Now they're going to that level, extreme levels. Now, Robert, they are going to levels. We said this early in the show as we opened it up. They're running out of tactics. They're running out of messages. This is a broken Democratic Party. And I said once, and I'll say it again, it is not the same party of once great JFK. Definitely. It's become more radicalized.
Not even close. No, it really isn't. And that's too bad. And it's sad because, you know, the Republican Party is the least racist party between the two. And the Democratic Party is the party that wants to focus on segregating the country again, you know, and it's very unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I have a son. I'm a white male, my son is black, and but it's really unfortunate to see that we get labeled whether or not we follow their narrative, and
Yeah.
that's the tough thing to swallow.
Yeah, yeah. I put an article out just last week, actually, for a local newspaper here in Florida. It's Hometown News. Actually, they have a little section called Rants and Raves, and they're little set up for for writers or whatever, right? If you have something on your thoughts and it's bothering you and you want to express it to the national newspaper here in Florida, that's what it's ideal for. So I put an article out here in their Rants and Raves with just everything, and I labeled it woke and the tunnel vision behind it. I specified on this wokenism affecting our country. Okay. And I even had a show the other day, and I said, labeled the show "Welcome to Woke States of America," because, Robert, as we're not united anymore. We're becoming very, very radicalized as a nation and as a society. The United has the building, so to speak. It's in another office somewhere.
Right.
But I put an article out. Yeah. I put an article out the other day with this woke crap that's affecting our country. And I wrote, with our current politics here facing Florida, okay, because there's a lot of criticism coming out of Florida, with the former governor, Charlie Crist, now attacking Governor Ron DeSantis. And I wrote in response to what's going on here is, if Florida is so bad under Governor DeSantis, why is there a huge influence of people in Florida moving into Florida since 2020? Literally, there are people moving here because of prosperity, equality, and transparency. Now, for those relocators from the woke states, if you do not like what Florida has accomplished under this governor and what it continues to prosper under the current governor, please feel free to return to your former states. Now, yep. I got some responses back from that. I don't want to blow up the show with the responses because I got a lot of responses back through email and through social media. What is your response, sir, in short term to that little article I wrote?
What's that?
I said, what's your response to that article that I wrote, on that topic there?
I think it's spot on. I think it is. I think it's spot on. And the sad thing is we're called the United States of America. And the first word in that is united. Joe said that when he took presidency, the first thing that he wants to accomplish is to unite America. Unite the United States. All it's done was separate. And what's too bad about that is it's widening the river. And you know what? I mean, there are, I'm not going to say that every Democrat is bad. I'm not going to say that every Democrat is, I'm not going to paint them as a bad person, because I know several of them, Democrats that I could sit down with and have breakfast, but it's that, it's that cancel culture that really, really defines that party right now. And you're right. Ron DeSantis is doing a great job in Florida. I mean, I don't know how that man shields off what's going on in the big government, because as a governor, but my hat's off to him. And I'm going to be down there shortly. Within a week, I'm going to be at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm looking forward to spending some time down there, and in the great state of Florida. And Governor DeSantis has done a great job. He really has. My hat's off to him.
Yeah, he hasn't done a great job. And you mentioned something really interesting that, you don't see how Ron DeSantis takes, some of the rhetoric, from from these radicalized Democrats, because they're going after, Robert, they're going after anybody that's pretty much in the Trump circle, right? Anybody that literally is on board with this Trump movement, this MAGA movement, right? Which is, there's nothing wrong about it, right? And it's quite sad that you have career politicians that's been in office for 40, sometimes 50 plus years. And they're getting so upset where they're acting as school children, and they're acting out of age. Like I said, they're acting like school children, and they're going after these like outsiders that really don't have a lot of political experience, right? But maybe that's what we need, Robert. We need outsider people, okay, that understands the corrupted establishment, that understands what truly is best for the American people, right? I said this many times. I think we need more businessmen and more people in that sector to run our country. Get rid of these war hawk type of politicians that want nothing but destruction and money from taxpayers to create just conflicts, whether they're foreign wars, domestic wars, civil conflicts in our country, and just all that nature. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
And, I think that's great. You mentioned you're going down to Mar-a-Lago. It's wonderful. Hopefully you sit down with the former president. I don't like to say former president. I like to say President Trump because, if it wasn't for these damn, mail-in ballots that we had back in 2020, I truly think that, President Trump would still be in office. And that's my own personal opinion. I just want to lay it out on the show that way. But before I want to spend the last, time here with some of the politics that are coming out of Wisconsin, I want to pin to Tim Michels. I want to see your insights on that if you'd like to get into that. Tim Michels, there was a conflict between Tim Michels and the school board with some certain funding. What's going on with that, Robert?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. And again, it's just it's the left trying to paint, a tough picture for him. He's going to have a tough battle. I totally support Tim Michels for governor, and we'll continue to do that and support him. I know him. We've had several conversations, me and his, along with his staff.
I became a therapist because I myself was a client. I noticed the influence, the impact that it had in my life.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.
Sometimes I even joke with my clients and I say to them, I should be the one paying you. Just seeing your journey, just seeing the miracles, that's really what gets me going in the morning.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
Got that business mentality, Trump came in as a businessman. He didn't come in as a political figure. He came in as a businessman, and he ran the country like a business. And so, it's kind of same situation here, where we have a businessman that has built a successful business and has built and grown his business to be elected for governor.
Yeah.
And here in Wisconsin, it's kind of a mini United States. We've got a governor that has been in for one term, but for so many years, when he was Wisconsin's state superintendent over the school system, we've got seniors that are reading at 6th grade level. Our test scores are below, they're at, we're testing kids right now in middle school, and their proficiency rating, I mean, is only at 17%.
Yeah, I know your state was actually one of the lowest states in the country, with the provision scores and everything else. I mean, you just mentioned you have children that are like, several grades under what they should be literally learning. And, Robert, this could be avoidable. This could be avoidable if you elect correct leadership. And this not only goes for your state of Wisconsin, this goes for every state in this country. Let's select the right set of people, to represent us.
Yeah, the establishment has to go. The establishment has to go. I mean, we have to. If we're look here in Wisconsin, the 22 election, the midterms here are going to dictate for us which direction Wisconsin is going to go, and it's so important. It's so.
Yeah.
I was on a popular radio show yesterday, talking about the same type of topics, what's going on and what's happening in the school systems, what's happening on the streets, allowing crime to be, it's okay. We've got a sheriff here that calls, that was an appointed sheriff by a Democrat governor in midterm. We've got an appointed sheriff that he didn't want to call them inmates anymore in the jail. He changed the term to residents. Residents, huh? So, I mean, they're residents in the jail. These are residents. They're not inmates. They're residents. You know what? I mean, committed a crime. They committed a crime. They're paying they're paying the penalty. They're an inmate in our jail system.
Yeah, let me, if I may add, sir, like you mentioned residents, right? Why do we have to bring that inclusive terminology into our society? I want to use the word inclusive, right? That's another thing that's kind of pissing me off here in the country, right? Guys, you want me to get unfiltered? That's what the show's all about. I'm gonna paint the picture, and I'm gonna call out these radicalized bastards in this country. Okay, inclusive. Okay, everything has to be inclusive now, right? They're residents. No, Robert. They're inmates. Like you said, they committed a crime. They have to be in jail. Pay you pay the price. You pay the piper. Anybody ever heard that terminology before?
Yeah,
that's what has to happen.
Yep. Exactly.
Residents. A resident is when somebody resides there permanently. That's the correct terminology. You want me to educate you folks? That is the correct terminology. When you reside somewhere, which is a dwelling or a building, and it's permanent, that's a residence, or excuse me, a residency. I mean, an inmate is when somebody's passing through the system, trying to learn what they did was wrong. They committed a crime, a Class A felony, whatever have you, maybe DUI, whatever. Just to name a little few, for example. That is what that is. Now, I want to get into, since we're on inclusion here, Robert, and I'm sorry to say, sir, this is a very heated show because of my demeanor from what I'm seeing from these radicalized Democrats in the last 2 weeks is appalling, excuse me, and it's very disturbing. I want to get into this latest inclusive word now. They're talking about where they want to change breastfeeding to chest feeding. Have you seen that get played out yet in your state?
Yeah, we actually have. I think about, I was just up to the Capitol probably 3 weeks ago. Me, myself, and my security staff, and we're driving around the Capitol Square, and there's women walking around topless, and they've got "my body, my choice," and I just the other day heard somebody saying that same phrase, chest feeding, and and that they have to change an area in one of the churches here to not only breastfeeding in the mother's area, but they have to change that sign. And I thought, wow, is that really what we're coming to? I mean, it's how sad, I mean, how sad is it really? How bad can it really get?
But why did they say, like, I'm kind of baffled with like they wanted to change that sign? Like, what was the reason behind that? Was there a
Well,
reason?
they're feeling compelled to, because of what's being told to them, and it's people coming up to them saying, this can't be this and this can't be that, and it's just it's the scare tactics that are getting used from the left to do that. So it's really too bad. It's really it's hard to it's hard to swallow. It's a really tough pill to swallow. And for me, I just want Wisconsin to get better. I want Wisconsin to become the Wisconsin that it once was, before it gets too late. And trust me, I'll be going into the Capitol with an iron fist. There's not a challenge that I back down from. So
yeah, you're gonna have to go into the Capitol with an iron fist and the war paint from Braveheart, Mel Gibson there.
Yeah, yeah,
right. But I don't know. I mean, I heard that coming out of Tucker the other day, and Tucker was even like, chest feeding. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's you try not to laugh about this, but these are the sick people in this nation, Robert, where they're trying to have people believe them that a transgender man, which in my days, folks, we didn't call it transgender, we called it a transvestite. These type of people are able to feed infants. Folks, I have to enlighten you and educate you once again. A man does not have the same milk glands that a female possesses.
Exactly.
Science hasn't changed in the last, 10,000 years. I mean, we evolved, but we haven't evolved that different from 10,000 years ago. Women only have those certain glands.
Yeah, look at it. You know what, guys, and think about it this way. What makes me chuckle about this is, so I own cattle on the side down in Oklahoma, and I have registered Red Angus cattle, and I watch it all the time. We have heifers that drop their calf, and let me tell you, if you just watch it in the pasture, the calf goes to the mom. The calf doesn't go to the bull.
I heard that one before.
So yeah. I'm sorry. It's just it's just this country is got it. The next 2 years is going to be very crucial, and we've got to stand our ground. We've got to be ready to fight this off. And I'm sorry, but people, you're not going to be able to, if you're not going to help the problem, then you're going to be part of the problem.
You're only in the way, Robert. Absolutely.
It's, I get these people that cry and whine constantly about how bad it is. And, yet they don't want to get involved. No, I don't want to get involved, but it's really bad, so if you're going to complain, then you need to help fix the problem. And
absolutely,
that's why I couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer. I jumped into this thing with both feet, and I will become the next senator and make our state a super majority. We are one Senate seat away from a super majority. That will be my seat, and that way, that's our insurance policy in case Tim Michaels does not get in. But I will become senator of Wisconsin and, the 27th district, and we'll do a damn good job of it because I'm going to be working for the people.
And amen to that. And I really hope that, that becomes a reality, sir. And if I may add, I want to focus on like just the last, several minutes here of what your movement is, because I really want to make that part of today's show. There has been a lot of news coming out. Obviously we don't have always the latest news and up to date news here in Florida, but coming out of the news here in Florida, especially coming out of the Orlando Sentinel and the Florida Today newspaper here, Fox Orlando just put something out just the other day with the shift. There's a shift happening right now in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, between two parties, between obviously the Democrats and the Republicans, showing that with Tim Michels, he obviously, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Michels has been endorsed by former President Donald Trump, and usually, Robert, we all know when you're endorsed by a former president with Trump here, it's an automatic win, right? Automatic win. But
Right.
That's not always the case. We've seen, several candidates that weren't really, favored by the people. We're seeing that a little bit unfold here with Tim Michels. We're seeing a little bit of weakness coming out of his campaign, and there are some strengths. Don't get me wrong. There are some strengths, but between the candidacy, of Tim Michels versus the opposition there, what do you see Tim Michels trying to tackle on? Like, what does your state need to tackle on? I know education is one thing. You got to focus on education. I know there's crime at high numbers right now coming out of Milwaukee. Madison is another major city there in Wisconsin. That is another key factor. Is there any other key factors that, Tim Michels needs to focus on in order to win the people for that state?
Well, for one, I think tackling education, allowing parents to have transparency, allowing parents to have that, the say in their students' education, in their children's education, I think is a big thing. Empowering moms, to the point where they're not locked out of the school, is a huge thing. But just bringing Wisconsin back, it almost goes like back to President Trump when he said, make America great again. It's making Wisconsin great again.
Yeah.
Wisconsin is a beautiful state, and, I had a great education here, and, I coached basketball here for 19 years in Madison. I had a great career, and was able to connect with a lot of students in a positive way. I still get invites to weddings from a kid that played for me back in 97, 98. And so I think for Tim Michels, the biggest thing is to not back down to the snowballs that are getting thrown at him from the snowflakes on the left about his residency and the fact that he's not a resident of Wisconsin. And, I've heard that story time and time again. And
yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that. There's been some type of criticism coming out of that, especially here in Florida, where he's not using his actual residency; he's using his parents' residency.
Right, but that's not true. That's not true at all.
Okay.
Tim Michels has an international business, and he bids on jobs throughout the entire United States. And they bid on big jobs.
Okay.
They built the subway underneath Manhattan. So they built that subway. There was a contract that went out. He bid on it. Michaels Corporation came in as the winner of the bid. There was the construction happening, going on. There was an issue that had to been dealing with, and it was, there was budgeting issues. There was all that sort of stuff going on. So Tim Michaels, being the type of guy that he is, where he takes the bull by the horns, he ended up moving out there temporarily for 150 plus days and paid taxes out there.
Yeah.
Moved after the job was complete. He moved back. It was a job that was just a little bit above the foreman's, he just couldn't do it the right way, living here in Wisconsin, sitting in his office in Wisconsin. So he's a hands-on guy.
Yeah. I always thought there was, there's always two sides of the story, and it seems like these Democrats, they'll throw anything at you just to try to, destroy your movement. So, I just wanted to know that, folks also too, let's save Wisconsin. It's the damn cheese state capital of the country, Green Bay, Wisconsin, the cheeseheads. I mean, it's not a derogatory, term or not like that. But I mean, Wisconsin's known for their dairy, we got to save that. But,
yep.
Robert, if I may, some of your opposition that you're seeing, and your candidacy that you're running there, what are they painting at you? Because I'm seeing a lot. I've been looking at some of your campaign, and you're running on really, really good messages.
Right. Our biggest thing for me is I want small businesses to thrive, family farms. We're getting just taxed to death. These family farms, it's bad enough what they have to pay, in fertilizer and seed. And, I know what it takes to run a family farm. And let me tell you, when we can't pass it down to the next generation because we're just getting taxed so hard on that generation tax, that's what's tough for me. Public safety, crime, that's the stuff that really fuels me. I was a firefighter for 17 years.
Yeah, you mentioned that when you were first on the show, several weeks back with my co-host Jimmy the Rant. You get it, Robert. You're a former firefighter. You've been in the first responders type of platform, kind of call it that way, as a fireman. So you get it, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I tell everybody is, a lot of kids nowadays don't even know who the man is, but I'm sure you do, and obviously I do. But if you remember back years ago, the Indiana basketball coach Bobby Knight.
The late great Bobby Knight. Yep.
Yes. You can probably compare me to him when it comes to work.
Wow.
Because I am disciplined. My work ethic. There is not an opponent out there that will outwork me. And that's why we're sitting that's why we're sitting, where we are in the polls. And we're just going to keep fighting for America. We're going to keep fighting for Wisconsin, the people of Wisconsin. I think, it's really important. I want families to thrive again, and I want them to feel safe.
Absolutely.
I mean, people should feel safe in their own home. I don't think
we're not seeing that, Robert.
And I don't think that anybody over the age of 65 should be paying property taxes. I do not. So I think our bail reform needs to be looked at. I think that our economy altogether needs to be looked at, where our taxes are going. We've got a surplus of money. We've got in Wisconsin, we get federal dollars that come into Wisconsin, and Tony Evers gets to dictate which school districts they go to. and they only go to school districts that are going to adopt the critical race theory curriculum.
Robert, that's one poison, and I hate to use those words, but I'm going to use it on a political angle. This poison, affecting, different areas of the state, possibly the whole state. That's something that you have to, your party there, the Republican Party there in Madison, and of course, Wisconsin as well. That Tony Evers, that guy. I mean, folks, he's not representing the state of Wisconsin accurately.
No, not at all. Not one bit. Not one bit.
And between him and Tim Michaels, guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be frank with you. Between the message that Tim Michaels is running on and the message that Tony Evers is running on, Robert, for some strange, odd reason, it seems that Wisconsin wants to stay blue, and I hate for them to stay blue because they've been blue for a long, long time. To flip that red, and I've said this the other day, to flip that red, that state red, it's going to take a long, long fight. Long.
Yeah.
You got to bring in some MAGA, Yeah, Joe. Yeah. You got to bring in some MAGA Republicans to literally, get behind the people of that state and say, damn it, we had enough. Yep. Enough of this crap that Evers is throwing down our throats with critical race theory, wokeness, indoctrination shit, and all this other stuff. It's time to wake the American people up.
It is. It's no more, the Republicans no longer can sit in the recliner and just turn on the TV and complain and, watch Fox News and say, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's time to get out of the recliner. It's time to get off the couch. It's time to get out, and it's time to fight back. It's time to fight for your country. It's time to fight for your state. And that's what I'm doing. And let me tell you, when I get elected Senate in this district after 30 plus years of being blue, my district, when it flips red, it's going to make national news. And let me tell you, things are going to change.
Well, I hope they do. Mr. Robert Relph, I want to thank you for joining us here on the show. It was a true honor and a privilege talking to you, sir. And I really, truly wish the best of luck to you in that campaign. I really hope that the people see the message behind what you're standing for, what you're fighting for. And I hope to see that district there, the 27th district there in Madison, Wisconsin, turn red. Because it's been a long time since I've been blue, and it's time for change. Right. Not only for your district, sir, but for the state of Wisconsin.
Yep, absolutely. And thank you so much. This has been a complete honor being a part of your show. You've got a great show. You compare. I compare you to Hannity.
That's an honor. Thank you.
Somebody that just really gets it and, isn't afraid to call people out as they should be. And it was a pleasure to be on. I hope I can be on again. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
And, thank you. I always think it's not about me, Mr. Relph. It's about the people. I want to thank you for coming on because it was a privilege. And I thank you for that sentiment that you just passed through the airwaves here with the Hannity comment. That's a privilege and an honor. A lot of people look at me as a young Michael Savage, but I don't know. I don't think I could fill the shoes of the grandfather and the godfather of podcasting. So, but as we conclude here, where can some of the listeners find you? And if you want to plug in any websites that will benefit your campaign and your movement, sir.
You can find me at www.robertrelph, and that's spelled RELPH, forsenate.com. That's robertrelph forsenate.com.
Wow. Great stuff, guys. You just heard the voice of Robert Relph on Savage Unfiltered with Michael Gardner. If you'd like this episode, please, guys, hit that follow button, hit that like button on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Alexa, now on Google Voice, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and now putting all major content on TikTok. Once again, Robert, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you so much.